Salvete omnes, this is Emilia, also known as TheMartianGeek, and welcome back to another episode of Mega Man X3. In the last episode, we narrowly avoided getting crushed by a crawfish. And we now move on to our sixth maverick, Volt Catfish. Catfish, crawfish, and a seahorse. Mega Man X3 does seem to have quite a few aquatic-themed bosses in its lineup. And I like to do this stage 6th because, well, this guy's weapon is required for quite a few items, actually. Technically, it would be a lot more efficient to do this earlier on than the 6th stage, such as before Crush Crawfish, so we wouldn't have to revisit his stage. But this stage is a bit on the tough side and the boss even more so I don't like to do it too early on. Volt Catfish, I like his stage music alright. He resides in a power plant. Seems like there's one of those in almost every game. Naturally, he's the electric-themed boss. These things, depending on how you want it, and how patient you are, you can either wait for that red laser to stop scanning and then go past, or you can just dash through it, and hope that you can outrun it. Because the minute you touch that red laser, well, there's one up here that I can show. Oh, maybe there isn't. Well, I'll show it. Also, that elevator over there that went down, that's another thing that I'll cover later on. Oh, also, these guys are green now, you might notice. The reason they're green instead of red, and as you can see, their missiles don't home in on you anymore, is because we defeated Blast Hornet. Defeat Blast Hornet, and they become easier to deal with. Why that is, I'm not sure, but it's a nice touch, I suppose. X3 doesn't seem to have too much in the way of stages affecting other stages. And now the shaft is lined with spikes. This one you actually want to take up all the way to the top, because if you're careful, you can get a heart tank. Just don't let the pause throw you off when the heart tank refills your health. And don't get spiked either, needless to say. More of these guys that we can just ignore, and more of these guys. And yet another elevator ride. Let's see, does it? Okay, it does not. Once again, this one has 2 levels that you can take. Go all the way up to the top, and we'll find an item that we can't actually get yet. So I will be coming back to that after I have the proper weapon. Come out here, and we're, well, outside. And we have these guys. I actually think this is the first time they've showed up, but I'm not sure. Back in here for another section of the power plant. And actually, now that it's our 6th boss, I believe... Okay, good. No secret, special, whatever you want to call them, bosses. Actually, can't remember if it's 5 or 6 bosses where the second one starts showing up. Here... First we want to go up. Come up here for another ride armor platform. And even though the ride armor isn't terribly useful here, in fact it could actually be more of a liability because this section of the stage, you kind of want speed and agility, not just big bulkiness. But you do need it to break through that floor. And get our final sub-tank. Yeah, that was actually probably the hardest of the 4 to get. But now we can continue with the stage. And this is where having vertical air dash really comes in handy. Let's go back up here. Actually, wait. Okay, now I forgot where I'm going. Which of these passages did I already go through? Okay, ride armor is here, yes. Guess it probably couldn't hurt to take the... Ow. But that could hurt. And there was the sub-tank. This game really... or this stage really loves these enemies. Wow, I'm just getting hit all over the place. And they will electrify themselves like that if you shoot off their little antennae. And they take forever to become unelectrified, too. I think you might actually be able to shoot through the barrier like that, though. I don't know, those guys are kind of weird. Oh, that was point blank. Okay, now I can show off what this does. That. And those things appear pretty much instantly once you touch the red laser, so watch for that. And don't land on the freaking electric enemies. Yeah, you notice electricity-based stages in Mega Man games tend to be a bit on the tough side, if not just plain nightmare-ish. This stage isn't that bad, but it's definitely not one of the easier ones. Actually got a 10 out of 10 in the perfect run. Fell down here, and it is boss time. And Volt Catfish is a pain. If this game has a nightmare boss, this guy is definitely it. And I have no real way of figuring out how to... or I've not really figured out a good way to deal with him. Because some of his attacks you want to be in a certain place, and some of his attacks you don't want to be in that same place. Well, to some degree, I suppose. Seems like staying high on the walls is probably your safest bet. Whoa. It's not... That attack is why you don't really want to be on the floor, because that's pretty much impossible to dodge if you're not already high up on the walls like that, and he can do it right after you can't really do much about it like that. Oh, now it's time for his second phase, and this is the reason he's so hard to perfect run, because he shoots out those sparks randomly. And yeah, well, I did say randomly. There's no real way of telling where they're gonna show up, so you can easily take a hit there. And once he starts doing this attack, he will stop doing everything else inexplicably and do nothing but this attack, so... Oh, that should not have hit me. And by... yeah, see what I mean? Not really much I could do to avoid getting hit there, and if I get hit one more time, it's curtains, so to speak. Please do not shoot a spark at me, old Catfish. You're almost dead. Oh, one hit left. Paranoia. Panic. And he's dead. I actually can't believe I beat him on the first try, considering my health wasn't exactly in great shape. But yeah, that actually went relatively smoothly by Volt Catfish standards. And X is still glowing from his reserve charge shot. Yay. With that, we get what I would consider to be the second best special weapon in the game. It's not as good as Spinning Blade, but it's decent, and that doesn't really do it justice, that there. You get Triad Thunder. Kind of an odd angle of attack, but if you can kind of figure it out, kind of figure out where the electricity will end up, it can be pretty powerful and useful. Also, the charged version of that weapon is needed for quite a number of things. So, I will see you next time as we get the many items required, and many items that Volt Catfish's weapon requires, blah, and as we take on our 7th Maverick.